Hello, and good evening to you. Hope you've had a lovely Sunday and hope you've had a really good weekend, and you're all set for tomorrow. It's back to school for some parts of the UK, and for us it was back to school last week. So it's really good to come on air again to speak to you about something I'm really passionate about. My name is Pauline Lehman. I'm the founder of Star Richards Community Initiative. It's a community organization with a mission to raise aspirations for Black young people, break the cycle of Black people and their achievements in education, and promote the well-being of Black children within this community. And the reason why I am so passionate about empowering Black young children and positioning them aright. I'm actually an advocate for academic excellence for Black people and strategic positioning of the Black child is because I am fed up of hearing, historically, Black pupils underachieving in education. And I say to myself, we come from a background where we value education. So what happens when we come here? Why are our children underachieving? And I definitely believe that God has not created the Black child of a lesser capacity, academic capacity than any other child from any other background. So if our children are trailing behind children from other backgrounds in terms of academic, results, achievement, then there are underlying issues. And that is why for the past few weeks, we have been looking at issues surrounding our children's academic achievement. And today, we're going to be talking about another issue that I believe is a contributory factor to children generally, not necessarily just Black children, but children generally underachieving in education. And it is the lack of effective and strategic parental involvement, and that makes a really big difference. Research has shown over and over again that children are best placed to succeed in school when the parents are strategically involved. They are effectively involved in their studies. And so today we want to look at some ways in which, or some reasons, why children need to be fully supported. Why do we need to be fully involved in our children's education? But before we look at that, we really want to talk about why are some parents not actually fully involved in their children's education. I've spoken to parents, I speak a lot and work with parents, and some parents don't see the reason why they need to be involved in their children's education. They feel that the child goes to school and everything they're taught there is just okay, and they don't need to spend any more time supporting their children. And that is absolutely not the case. Now, in other cases, and it is a really big issue within our community, is the fact that parents are not available. We are very busy. We work non-stop. Mom, dad, working round the clock, and not actually being there to support our children's education. And I just want to spend a bit of time on this because it is so important. If we understand how assessment and reporting of performance works in this country, you will understand that if your child doesn't achieve the levels or the grades or the results that are okay at primary level, that data is passed on to the secondary level when they go to secondary school, and based on that data that is passed on to the secondary school, your children are set targets. So it's important that the foundation is right. And for a lot of children, I've taught, as I said before, I've said over and over again, I've taught children of all abilities, and they have not achieved what I believe they were capable of achieving just because they didn't have that support. And if you don't support your child and the foundation is not solid, then they go on to secondary school. It carries on there. The teachers start to make predictions for them based on the data that came from the primary school. So it's really important that we kind of slow down a bit. If we are, husband and wife working, one partner, and slow down a bit and ensure that we are actually home with our children. In some cases, it is just absentee parenting, where the parent is actually at home, but you're not involved. Uninvolved parenting is another big issue within our community. We need to actually be home and actually see what they are doing and ensuring that they're actually understanding the work, that they're actually making progress. Because if you sit down and you turn on the TV, you're watching the TV on your mobile phone or on your personal device, and you get them to sit down and do work, or you get them to sit down in a room where there's TV or where you're watching something, a movie, doing work, you don't really expect them to concentrate, and you don't even know what they are doing. You are kind of disconnected. It's really time, parents, that we start to get involved in our children's studies. I believe that we came to this country for a better life, but we can't afford, I always say that we can't afford to leave our children behind. A lot of our children are going through school and not achieving what they are capable of achieving, and I call that a waste of potential. And we don't want to come here and our children achieve nothing educationally. So please, 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 parents, let's make time for our children to support their education. Now, in some cases, I've also met parents who say, "Oh, I don't know the language." Not knowing the language, not knowing English, if English is not your first language, should not be a barrier. It's about setting structures in place that would help your child to be able to study and be able to provide the support either through your own means or using the teachers or using tutors to be able to support your child. Now, other self-limiting beliefs like I wasn't too good at math. So if my daughter finds math difficult, maybe it's because I wasn't good. Math is not a thing that we're strong at in our families. Please, parents, let's not pass on our self-limiting beliefs to our children. We may not have been good at maths, maybe because we didn't have the support that we needed, maybe because the teacher didn't teach adequately enough. So it doesn't mean that if you aren't good at maths or you weren't good at maths, that your child cannot be good at maths. I've also met parents who say, I've not got a lot of education, so I don't really know how to support your child. And this brings to mind the story. I've read the biography of Dr. Ben Carson, and it really touched me that his mother was not educated. His mother did unskilled work, never had an education, apparently didn't even know how to read. But then, she realized that the children started misbehaving and started underachieving in school. So she slowed down. She cut down on her hours. I think she was like a maid doing cleaning jobs in different places. She cut down on her hours, and while the children were at home, she ensured that she was at home with them. And then she started challenging her boys to read one book a week. And she said to them, you must read one book a week, you must summarize it and show me the summary at the end of the week. And what was interesting was that she took the summary of, the summaries the children wrote, and then she pretended to read as if she understood it. So the children knew that mom is going to check what we've done. So that is really important. Parents, let's not limit our children. Our children have got more potential than what you believe. Children have got an amazing mind. The mind is amazing. And so let's please ensure that we do not limit our children by any of our limiting beliefs. And I strongly believe that as a community, for us to be able to change the negativity around us on the media, it's so negative around us. Our children are being taken into care. It's gang culture. It is young people going into prison. And it's all sort of things that follow us. And for us, I believe, to become a community that will be respected, that will have our voices heard, we need to start as a community to be able to strategically do the things that would influence our next generation, which is our children. Our children, I believe, and I'm sure you believe, that our children are tomorrow's leaders. Now, Pastor Abby, thank you for joining us. Thank you for, I can see that you're there and you've shared. Thank you for sharing the video. If you are blessed by this, please feel free to share. I believe that for us to be able to change the story for our community, it's got to be a communal effort. It's not going to be one person's effort. It's got to be all of us working together, enlightening ourselves about the things that are important for us to do to be able to move our community as a whole ahead. So at this juncture, I'm going to share with us 7 reasons why you must get involved in your child's education. Now, the first reason, I've got them here, listed down here, is that you are your child's first teacher. You are your child's first teacher. Think about mothers. Think about when our children are born. We start to support them, to encourage them, to play with them, encourage them to start to speak, the first word, mommy, daddy, and then we encourage them. We're excited when they start to walk. We teach them. So we are our children's number one teacher. No one else can teach your child better. Well, teachers will do their bit, but you need to play your own role. You are basically partners. Parents are partners and co-educators in the business of helping children achieve their potential academically. Thank you, Pastor Abi, for watching with your son. I hope he too will be encouraged and motivated by this tonight. Now, the second reason is because you have your child's best interest at heart. You have a vision for your child. You know where you want your child to be. You see into your child's future better than the teachers, better than the school. So we can't afford to leave that task for the teachers and for the schools alone. The teachers will do their own bit, but the teachers cannot do it all. Yes, so you have your child's best interest at heart. You can support them. You can complement for the gaps in learning that the child experiences at school. So that is the second one. The third one is the issue in the state school system. Large class sizes is a big issue in the state school system relative to the private school system. Within the state school system, typically class sizes range from 25 to 30 or sometimes even 33 in a class. And just imagine 33 children of different abilities, of different behavior, mixed behavior within a classroom. Now, how do you expect one teacher? Hi, Evelyn. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for the encouragement. It's good that you're watching with your son. I pray I'm really pleased to see parents watching with their children. It's a journey we have to take together. Thank you for supporting them. We have to do it and really pray that God will grant us grace to do it and do it effectively. So think of a large class size. One teacher teaching a concept to 30 to 33 children. Do you expect them to all learn at the same rate? I believe you're saying no. Okay? Now, because they're not learning at the same rate, even when there is a teaching assistant, it means that some children will leave that lesson not having learned optimally. So please understand, parents, children do not necessarily learn 100% in the classroom, and learning is not meant to happen that way. And unfortunately, I have students telling me, Miss, I don't get it. At the end of the lesson, it's a difficult concept in science, it's biology or chemistry, and they say, Miss, I don't get it. I am not good at science. So a lot of children and even parents feel that children learn only in school. Learning starts in school, but it continues at home. So if a child grasped maybe 30 or 40% of the concepts in school, then the rest of it needs to be grasped at home. Now, if they get home and the support system is not in place to help the child grasp the concept, then that means by the next time the child goes to that lesson, they are behind because they didn't understand the first or part of a topic. And usually in secondary schools, topics are, spread out in a good number of lessons. So if they miss one part of it, it makes it really difficult and really challenging for them to grasp the next part of it. So that is why we have to ensure that we are supporting these children. Now, number 4, really important, the quality of teaching and learning in the classroom. Now, I have been a teacher myself for 13 years, and I will tell you that all teachers teach in different ways. So the quality of teaching of your child's teacher might not be optimal, okay? Or your child might not grasp that teaching style. So different teachers have different teaching styles. So you can't guarantee that your child in that lesson is actually grasping everything that is being taught, because the teacher's teaching style might be different And because they too have a different learning style that the teacher might not be exploring, and so they're not necessarily learning fully within the lesson. Now, the other thing is the dynamics of the classroom setting. Within a classroom setting in a state school, especially within a deprived area, pupil misbehavior is a big problem. Behavioral problems are one of the things, or one of the biggest hindrances to effective teaching and learning going on. A child, or if children are misbehaving, the teacher sometimes cannot even teach. And if they are teaching, they are not teaching effectively as they should be capable of doing. Or, because the teaching is being disrupted, children are not learning either. If the teacher can't teach, the children can't learn. If children are disrupting, if your child is disrupting, other children are being interrupted from learning. Their learning is being disrupted as well. So because of that, you can't guarantee that when your child goes to school, that effective teaching and learning is actually happening in the classroom. So I encourage you, find out from your child, just find out from them the dynamics. What's the dynamics of your classroom? And you are going to be surprised to hear what they tell you. So that is number 4. If you have any questions, please type them up and I will answer them as we go along. Number 5, it's important that we get involved in our children's education so that they can maximize their potential. As I said before, I always talk about children underachieving. Now, when I talk about children underachieving, sometimes parents don't get it because they say, but the class teacher told me at parents' evening that my child is doing well. Now, my child is doing well simply means that your child is achieving the target that has been set for them. Now, the target that has been set for your child does not necessarily mean that is your child's full capacity. Okay? So if grades go from A to G or A to F or whatever it is, in terms of numbers, they go from 0 to 100% or levels 2 to 8, and they tell you your child is doing well when they're getting a level 3 or 4, when others are getting 8, then you can see that your child is not necessarily achieving their full potential. So we need, by supporting them, we can actually help them to achieve their full potential. By being there, being involved, we can ensure that we are patient enough to work with them to ensure that they actually grasp concepts at home. Now, number 6, by getting involved in children's education, they become very, very motivated and they become interested. When we get involved, when we show keen interest in our children's education, the message they get is that education is important, school is important, reading is important, schoolwork is useful. And when the child picks that up, they want to start to work well, to do well. They come home telling you about how well they've done in a test, or maybe how well they've not done in a test, and they start to feel bad about it. So when we get involved, when we show keen interest, what did you do today? Your child comes back from school. What did you do today? Show excitement. Sometimes I read with my 6-year-old and I am excited about it. And we learn together. I told her, wow, I never knew this. You see, I've learned with you. So children understand that we are interested in learning. Learning is important and they get motivated. Finally, number 7, why do we need to get involved in our children's education? When we get involved, when we follow up their studies closely and we liaise and connect with teachers, I'll talk about that in some later talks that we will have, you can actually pick up your children's behavioral issues. You know whether they are focused in the classroom. You can tell whether, hello, Ndokwo, Loveline, thank you for joining us. You're late. It's not a problem. We're almost rounding up, but you can always go and watch the replay. Thank you for joining us. I know it's a bit tricky doing it at this time, but I think at this time children have gone to bed and parents are more available, but the replay is always there anyway. So when you are following up your child's studies closely, be it with them at home or on the school front, just by having brief chats with your child's teacher, you can actually pick up behavioral problems and you can actually deal with it before it gets, difficult to manage, because again, a lot of children are being excluded from school because of behavioral issues. So we don't want to leave it to build up. It's been shocking when I've had parents turn up during parents' evening in May, only to discover that the children, behavior was not adequate. They had no clue whatsoever what their children's behavior was like in the lesson. And if your child is not behaving well, they are not learning. Okay? And in schools, you would realize that the low ability groups usually have the children who have behavioral problems. In high ability groups, it's children who are well behaved, it's children who are self-motivated, who really want to learn. In low ability groups, we have the children with special educational needs and the children with poor behavior. So you want to know what your child's behavior is like in the lesson, and you want to also know if your child has got a problem, then you need to be able to support. Hello, Mary. Thank you for joining us today. Mary says, totally agree with you. Parent partnership. Schools send home reading records so to get parents involved in their children's reading. Well done. Thank you very much, Mary. Absolutely. Reading is a big, big thing again that at some point we're going to be talking about in one of our sessions, our live sessions. Hello, Arina. Thank you for joining us. You're joining us a bit towards the end of it, but please feel free to go and watch the replay. So I was talking about behavioral issues because it's a big, big problem. We need to be sure. For parents in primary school, it's really easy for you to do that. When you go drop off your child in the morning or at the end of the school day, just find out from your child's teacher, how do they behave in lessons? Do they focus? Just know, when you know what your child's behavior is like, then you can start to deal with it early. Teachers really, or the school really contacts parents when it is grave behavior, when it is severe behavioral issues. But low-level disruption also plays a big role in actually disrupting the quality of teaching and learning happening in the classroom. And I always say, if every parent can help manage or sort out behavioral problems at home, children go into school, and then we have teachers who are actually able to teach because children are behaving appropriately. And that makes a difference between state schools and private schools where the behavioral issues is a lot less. And that is why we see the difference even in the results. Thank you. That is Malene says, disruptive behavior affects other quieter kids and they will only improve when they spend time doing homework with them. Absolutely. So behavioral issues is a big, big problem, and we need to ensure that we are aware of what our children's behavior is like in the classroom. Personally, it is something that I emailed the teacher once a term to find out, how are my children doing in school? Do they pay attention in lessons? Just to ensure that they go to lessons. We need to do our best. We need to do our own bit as parents. I think it all stems from the home. If parents were able to manage their kids effectively at home, then the behavioral issues would not show up in school. So let's do our own bit. And finally, if we support our children, we can also pick up signs of learning difficulties. You can start to pick them up even from the time your child is 1, 2. As you start to work with them, show them the picture books, and they start to look at the pictures, start to talk with them, start to read with them. You can tell, my child doesn't quite pick this up quickly. My child is a bit slow in understanding, and therefore it means we need to do a bit more strategic work with children. Unfortunately, children get into school and learning difficulties get picked up while they're in school, while they're age 4 or 5. But remember, the child's brain is plastic. The child's brain is amazing. The more we expose our children to new experiences, to new learning and new experiences, neural pathways are made in our children's brain. And the more neural pathways are made, the better our children get at learning. Okay, so I don't believe ability is fixed. Your child does not need to be a genius, okay, to be an A-star pupil. I've done a lot of studies, a lot of research. There are people who are medical doctors who have done really high academic courses, who have special educational needs, who had ADHD. So if they tell you your child has ADHD, they have dyslexia, it doesn't stop learning. Special educational needs, okay, I'm not talking here about learning disabilities. There's a difference between learning disabilities and a child having learning difficulties. Learning difficulties affect specific aspects of a child's learning. It could be just coordinating numbers, letters, and so on, but it doesn't affect intelligence. So your child's parent, your child does not need to be a genius, okay, to be able to become an A-star student. As we carry on sharing, we're going to learn more and more about, and if you want to learn more, I've got my book on Amazon called Surpass Every Expectation, a proven system for raising high achieving children. I'm going to put the link for it in my Star Reachers Community Initiative page. If you can't remember the name, I'm just going to put it there. You can click on there and order it directly on Amazon. It is a manual that is going to help you. Every parent needs it. The book was forwarded by the head teacher of a leading independent school in Manchester and recommends it both for educators and for parents. If you don't have a copy and you want to be able to effectively support your child's education and other development, I don't just focus on education in the book. I talk about extracurriculars to be able to help raise well-rounded children that will compete effectively with any other child from any school, from any background in the country. Because remember, our children are in a competition. We don't see it now, but when they go to university, they go for interviews, especially if they are looking at a top-notch at elite universities, at Russell Group universities. They go for interviews. They are competing with children from all over the nation. So remember, we must get involved. So we're getting towards the end. If you've got questions, okay, Pastor Abby says, why do teenagers lack motivation even when parents are trying? Is it the approach, the way we approach them? Now, that on its own is something that I will do a 30-40 minutes session on. Can I call you, please? Yes, Wumi, you can call me. You can inbox me and I will send you my phone number. Right, the first thing about teenage motivation, I'm not going to talk about it today, but the first thing is to help children to understand why. To help children be motivated, is to help them understand why. Why do they need to go to school? To be honest with you, you're right, Pastor Abby. Being a teacher in secondary school, I had children saying, Miss, I don't know why I'm here. I don't even want to be here. How will science help me? How will maths help me? I don't want to be here. I just want to go out there and work. So thank you for that, Pastor Abby. It's going to be a topic I'm going to spend another session discussing. We've spent about 30 minutes now. Can I just implore, if you've not yet liked, hello, Sister ID, thank you for joining us today. It's almost the end, but please feel free to watch the replay. Can you please also share? If you think what I've shared today is useful, can you please share with other parents? Remember, I believe that together we can change the story for our community. It's not going to be a one-person effort. Okay, my child is in a good school, I'm fine. It's going to be all of us sharing that information out there, supporting each other, carrying each other along to ensure that no child lags behind. So please go ahead and share the video when I'm done, and also like the page so that when I do videos, you can actually just see it pop up and you can then join. Mary says child learning outcome is a triangle. Absolutely. Child, parent, teacher, and school. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Mary, for summing it up for us. Oh, Evelyn, thanks for joining. Yes, you came late, but please do catch up by watching the replay. So, I believe it's been a very, very enlightening time. I have been enlightened too. I'm very, very excited because I'm tired of all the negativity around us. And I'm really excited about seeing our children, more of our children becoming MPs, becoming ministers, being at all levels of society. That way, we will become a respected community. We will have our voices heard. So, it's been a real pleasure having you with me for 30 minutes. I know 30 minutes is enormous. Thank you for spending the time with me. And I'm going to be seeing you by God's grace next week, Sunday again at the same time. I wish you all an amazing week, and God bless you richly. Bye-bye.